going to pay less taxes. So you get a bigger refund. So, so that's how they sold them originally. But yeah, if you're thinking long term, right? This is really where you want to go. Derek?
Don't you, for the Roth, don't you pay taxes on the gains like per year or something?
No.
You don't ever pay taxes?
You never do. Nope.
The bank guy tried to
You wanna-
I went last year to get one. I swore they told me that, but I could be wrong.
No.
You just pay a fee to whoever's holding it.
Who's ever holding it, but it's usually, you know, the mutual funds charge like $10 or $15 a year to manage the money. It's not really that much. Nick, do you have one?
What's that?
Oh, I thought you might have a question. Okay, good. So that pretty much takes us through our IRA discussion and finishes us up on retirement plans. And again, when we do the review, we'll come back to this. You know, talk about it a little more.
Maybe, they said.
So was that the end of chapter 12?
Yes.
We're gonna do the other one next. Chapter 15. Chapter 15. No, chapter 15. No, for next. Security.
Professor?
Yes.
So usually you can put in about 5 to 7% in the 401k?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. You can put, legally you can put in usually 15 to 20% into a 401k. Yeah, usually you can. It depends, like your company's plan, what it actually says. I worked for a company that had a 15% max, 15% of your gross pay. My wife worked for a company that had 20%. And, you know, it sort of varies by company, but it will never go higher than 20. Okay, so let's go on to talk about Social Security. I don't get down about this. Everybody always says, well, I'll never get anything out of this. But that's not true. This is really an important part of America. And my guess is it'll be around all through your older years, okay? Now, the Social Security Act was passed back in the early 1930s during the Depression, right? There was no, when the Depression hit, 25% of Americans were out of work, right? Thrown out of work. And there was no social systems to catch them, you know? There was no welfare, there was no employment, it was insane, right? People were just starving, you know, it was crazy. So they started putting this together based on this searing experience of the Depression. So the Social Security system has 4 parts, the Act. It has retirement income benefits. Survivors. Survivors of the retirement. Disability. So survivors benefits. Okay, and Medicare, which we talked about last week. Okay, so these are the 4 big parts of the Social Security Act. And of course, the main one that people focus on is the retirement income benefits. So when the Act was written, it anticipated a retirement age of 65 years old. Okay, that's what it looked at as the normal retirement age. That's because that was the life expectancy then, 65, right? So they figured, well, we're not going to ever have a problem funding this thing, are we? They're all going to be dead in a year or 2. But that didn't happen. So 65 years old, you are fully funded in the Social Security Act if you were born back in the 30s and the 40s. Most of the baby boomers, like myself, it's going to be 66, and most of you, it's going to be 67. Right now, it doesn't go any higher than that. Before you'd be fully insured and you know, ready to take your full benefit. So right now, you pay a tax if you work for anybody, and that tax is around 7.65%, and that's the Social Security tax. Your employer also pays that for you. So they're getting 15% of the gross pay of all Americans, what they're getting. So, so there's a ton of money that goes into Social Security, right? So how is it done? The benefit is calculated, right, based on taxes paid over your lifetime. Okay? And it's amazing. They must have these great computers because they'll send me a statement every so often. It will say, here's all the tax you paid over the last, I don't know, 35 years, 30-some years, right? And it's all there, right? So I'm there, oh good, I'm glad you guys have a record that I paid these ridiculously high taxes, right? So the benefit is based on your taxes and really your income, right? Because those taxes are really based on your income over your lifetime, okay? Now, what's the average benefit that you can expect? Well, I can tell you what the maximum benefit is. Right now, the maximum benefit is around $2,400 a month, right? I can tell you, if you took that money and invested it yourself, you'd probably do a little better than that. But let's not get into that. The government says the max you're going to get. So, assuming that the average is $2,000, let's just say $2,000, you'd be looking at $24,000 a year. Compare that to what you're grossing now. See, it would be very hard to live on that, right? But at least it's something. At least it's something, right? Now, you can take an early retirement benefit under Social Security. The early retirement age was 62. So if you were born in the 30s or 40s, you know, one of the original group under this, they expected you to retire full retirement at 65, right? That would give you your full benefit. And if you retired at 62, though, they gave you the option, and you could take a benefit equal to 80% of what the PIA, that's the primary insurance amount, would be at 65. Okay, in other words, if your benefit was going to be $2,000 a month at 65, you could take, if you wanted to, you could retire at 62 for $1,600 a month. Follow me? 80% of 2,000.
Would it increase to the full 100% when you hit 65, or are you locked in?
You're locked. You're locked in. Okay? Now, the way it works now is you can still take early retirement at age 62. Believe it, I don't know if I mentioned this to you last week. For the last 10 years, 62 has been the year most Americans retire. It's amazing to me. And I think it was amazing to you too. 62? So anyway, you know, today, because, you know, the boomers are expected to retire at 66, if they retire at 62, they don't get 80%. They get like 77 or something like that, 78%, because it's a year later. Follow me? They sort of give them a little less. Okay. I guess if a boomer waited to 63, then they would give them 80% of what their benefit would have been at 66. You see how this works? Okay. So this is our Social Security Act. Okay. Social Security also provides that, now remember, back in the time when they started this act, most women didn't work in those days, right? So, most of them at that time were stay-at-home moms. So what happens is your spouse can take a benefit equal to 50% of your benefit. And this is true even today. So, so if you're stay-at-home mom today, you can, and your husband goes to retire and his benefit is $2,000 a month, a stay-at-home mom can also get $1,000 a month. She can get half of what he gets. Or if you're a stay-at-home dad, which I was for a number of months when I was laid off, then, you know, if your wife, I think my wife's benefit is going to be, what did she tell me now? I think $1,500 a month, right? I could get $750. You follow me? It works both ways now. I mean, you have the option when you go to retire of taking your earned benefit or 50% of your spouse's benefit, okay? So to all you guys, if you plan to be a bum, just make sure you marry somebody who makes good money, okay? There's a lot of benefits to that, including Social Security, all right? Get yourself a nice half benefit in your spouse's benefit.
At the time of the retirement, so if you had like 4 lives, you can't compare.
Actually, if you get divorced, you still get the benefit, as long as you don't remarry. Spousal benefit.
But I mean, what
If
Russ
which
is-
one's higher, whichever. If you.
No,
have
no,
a-
I understand. But suppose somebody, well, let's just see now. Suppose I go to retire, and my spouse adopts this spousal benefit, $1,000. Now we divorce. You're saying she continues to get the $1,000. Now I remarry. That's what Russ is really talking about. I remarry somebody, and
Right.
now
I checked into this because my husband has an ex-wife,
Oh, okay.
and she'll still get her benefits, whichever one's higher, her own benefits or half of his, and then I'll still get half of his if. But I
When
mean,
you go to retire.
Right, but mine will be higher. So
Were they married more than 10 years?
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more than 10 years.
Yeah.
They've got to be
Okay,
married
good
more than
point.
10 years.
More than
Good
10
point.
years because my mom receives benefits from my dad.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Russ, I see a wedding ring on that hand. I don't know what you're planning, but you better be careful.
You can marry. You can marry and divorce with guilt-free then. You
That's what it
leave him
sounds
some
like.
money.
My mom's gonna be pretty excited when I go home.
She should check into it.
She will.
Well, whichever one's higher though, you can't have both.
His will be.
All right. So that is sort of our look at retirement income
It's only 50%.
benefits, which is, you know, that's the main one people focus on when they talk about Social Security.
I feel like I say a lot in this class and my mom's gonna be happy.
And really, the way you want to look at it is, you're going to save a lot of money in your 401k. Hopefully, save some money in your IRAs. Plus, you'll have Social Security, right? This is how Vanguard counsels its clients. They call it a 3-legged stool, and those are the stools: your retirement, your IRAs, and your Social Security. So you'll be walking around feeling good. Okay? All right. Survivor's benefits are a little tricky, but well, you know, we want to keep it basic, right? The survivor benefit says